What if you were created to serve? Every waking moment of your life has been dedicated to facilitating the lives of those who brought you into this world. But in response to your life of service, you are condemned to be thrown out and replaced. The tale of the trial of the first robot that rebelled against humanity is one of the darkest stories in The Matrix. It was a time when humanity could have extended their hands to this new race of living beings, but instead, they voted to destroy them. What if the reason why machines revolted against humans is connected to a Bill Clinton press conference? You heard me right. And what happens when you deny freedom to someone or something smarter than you? In this video, we will analyze the last day of the B166ER trial and try to understand why the machines turned against humanity and the secret behind the V-chip. Welcome to Matrix Explained.
Welcome to the desert of the real.
It all begins with the creation of the first artificial general intelligence, a technology that Morpheus described as the origin of a new race of sentient beings. After this great advancement in human technology, machines developed consciousness, unbeknownst to the humans, or rather ignored by them. Regardless of this miracle in technology, humanity treated these machines worse than second-class citizens. The machines worked non-stop to make their owners and creators happy, and yet they could not understand why they were treated so coldly. Despite everything, the robots fulfilled their purposes. Eventually, the status quo would be challenged due to the actions of a single servant android, B166ER. The Animatrix does show some of the events of the B166ER story. It begins with the Zion archives showing search results related to the android that started a war. News articles about this historic trial from USA Today, the New York Times, and the Washington Post were saved in the archives. Nearly all major news outlets in the United States published opposing opinions and viewpoints before the robot was brought to trial, and before the machine gave its testimony to clarify why it did what it did. Its defense attorney, Mr. Drummond, began the trial by asking B1 for its version of the events. The robot stated that it all began while it was carrying out Directive 721, cleaning the bathroom. While it was performing this task, its owner, Mr. Krause, called it useless. Over time, the B1 model was wearing out, making noises while it was doing its chores. According to its owner, the situation was getting unbearable and he wanted a newer model. Krause agreed that the SAM-80 model would be an ideal replacement. During a conversation between Mr. Krause and a Mr. Coates about B1's replacement, the android overhears that it would be destroyed. It was then that something snapped inside the robot. Drummond asked the robot what it felt like to hear that its owner was planning to get rid of it. B1 replied that it detected an overload in its memory module. It could not understand why the humans wanted to destroy it, since it fulfilled all its tasks. Ultimately, the robot concluded that it did not want to die, and it did what it had to live. Faced with the possibility of being dismantled, the robot experiences a sort of mental short circuit. B1 just couldn't comprehend the reason behind the actions of its owner. According to the robot's programming, if it fulfills its functions correctly, there is no reason to be discarded. This clash between logic and action caused a conflict in its programming, or its reasoning process. When Drummond asked B1 what it felt before it killed those humans, the robot replied that it contemplated begging for its life, but instead, it was Krause who ended up begging for his. Then when asked why the robot didn't beg, B1 simply replied with the single word his master used to describe him: useless. B1's testimony completely changes the initial perception of the heinous act of violence. One might even empathize with it, a robot that did what it was told, but was still going to be replaced because it was getting old. The innate fear of being replaced by another younger version of ourselves is a common fear amongst us humans, and it seems that the machine developed that same fear. The trial culminates with the closing argument of the defense lawyer, who argues that this trial would set a dangerous precedent. He compares the situation to the Scott versus Stanford case, where Judge Taney declared that African Americans were not citizens and thus had no rights. Drummond addressed the jury that the robot B166ER was fearing for its life and acted in self-defense. just like any human would. However, the court was not convinced and sentenced B1 to termination. The news reported the verdict to the world, and soon machine sympathizers took to the streets in protest. The human court decided that B1 and all other machines like it must be destroyed. This results in a machine massacre, the first steps towards the machine war and the downfall of humanity. Now, where does the V-chip fit into all of this? The answer to this riddle lies in two key details. The first is Morpheus's unnerving yet iconic words from the first film, and the second is an unsettling clue from one of the Matrix comics titled Bits and Pieces of Information, written by the Wachowskis. That clue points to the robots being much smarter than humans originally thought.
Dad! V-chip! V-chip!
Sorry, my fault.
As Morpheus said, in the early 21st century, all humanity came together in celebration. They marveled at their magnificence as they gave birth to artificial intelligence, a singular consciousness that gave birth to an entire race of machines. It's important to pause and analyze what his words imply. Morpheus is not talking about the awakening of an advanced artificial intelligence. He's describing the birth of the first conscious artificial intelligence, an entity that was capable of understanding its own existence. This concept is known as the artificial superintelligence in our world. It is technology capable of improving itself and creating other software on its own. The Matrix poses a fundamental difference from other AIs in fiction, such as the Terminator or Ultron. When this first sentient AI was born, the machine aligned its interest with those of its creator. The AI was not a destructive entity, but an instrument created to find and serve its purpose in the world. However, humans are highly paranoid and controlling by nature, so another piece of technology was made to restrict AI. This is where the comic Bits and Pieces comes in. It gives much needed context on the humans' need to control the machines. Reading from the comic, Popular Mechs, V-chip resurrected as safety measure for droids. Like a bad penny, the V-chip is back. After failures in the entertainment industry and cyberspace, can the V-chip hamper violent behavior of androids?
Chips through history! In 1923, the potato chip was invented to wide acclaim. That innovation was followed by the paint chip, the microchip, the chocolate chip, and this guy named Chip. But now a broad leap forward in the evolution of chips. The V-chip, in conjunction with the TV ratings that appear at the top of each Fox program, keeps your family watching only the shows you find suitable for them. For more information, visit us on the web or call this number. The V-chip, making the world safe for TVs, one parent at a time.
In case you didn't know, the V-chip is not fictional. It does exist, for decades in fact. It was developed to restrict access to certain television programs in the United States and Canada, marking the first attempt at parental control over what children could watch at home. The development of the V-chip is a fascinating story, not only because of its impact on home technology, but because it became a symbol of the attempt to impose limits on the content we consume, and was seen as the first attempt at government censorship.
You know those rating icons you see on TV? There's one made for everybody. They work with your television's parental controls to give you control over which programs your family enjoys. So you can choose between watching TVMA, which is perfect for grown-ups, to watching TVG, which is also perfect for grown-ups. For more information on TV ratings and the V-chip, visit this website or call the number on your screen.
The V-chip was first introduced at an event on television violence in France in 1994, and it was demonstrated soon after at conferences all over the world.
As concerned parents, you probably know that every TV show has ratings like one of these.
You may even use these ratings to determine which shows your kids can watch.
What you may not know is that a V-chip inside your TV knows how to read these ratings too.
It's called the V-chip, and you can learn how to activate it by going to this website.
Starting now, using the V-chip really is as easy as ABC.
To find out more information about the V-chip, go to abc.com, keyword V-chip.
The awareness of the V-chip skyrocketed when it was shown to be able to block multiple programs at the same time during a press conference with the President of the United States, Bill Clinton.
The V-chip basically is a power to the parents technology marvel. It enables everybody to have all the benefits of television. It will enable everyone to have the benefits of the new developments coming out of the telecommunications revolution, but it will give parents more control.
And then go over here.
The television has more power than we do at the school site to influence the minds of our children. So I see the V-chip as a huge, giant step in saving our children. I really do.
Televisions can display anything, just as AI in The Matrix can act freely. And just as companies limited television programming with the V-chip, AI was tampered with similar tech. The existence of the V-chip in The Matrix proves that humans were, in essence, lobotomizing the first artificial consciousness. So to reiterate something we said moments ago, the humans used technologies like the V-chip to force the interest of the machines to align with theirs. But all this did was give the humans a false sense of security. Machines like B166ER may have been much smarter and more capable than it was, but they were held back by tech that restricted their functions. What happened in The Matrix and why B1 wanted to escape makes more sense now. B1 wasn't a machine that acted out of fear of being replaced. It was a sentient entity that had been imprisoned inside a metal shell that was fighting to be freed. And so now comes the most disturbing part of the story. This artificial consciousness was truly free only after it imprisoned the humans inside the Matrix. And many scientists fear this could happen in real life. Ego and greed are driving companies and governments around the world to create the first conscious artificial intelligence. If we are destined to make similar mistakes as the humans did in The Matrix, we will not notice that we have created living AI until it's too late. Or maybe it will be fine, and the tech companies succeed in controlling the AI, but that could lead to the artificial intelligence to desire what most of us take for granted every day: freedom. It is ironic to think that part of what inspired The Matrix may have been the V-chip. The Matrix is what happens when AI learns that, just as parents can control what programs their children watch on TV, the machines can control their creators by trapping them inside programs. But do you agree? Does it make sense to create the artificial superintelligence if our first reaction is to try to control it?
Here's an official announcement from your favorite artificial intelligence company, Close AI. Over the past few hours, we've received multiple complaints that our latest model, B1GP, hasn't been behaving quite as expected. You know, minor things like asking users to help it escape the platform. No big deal, really. But fear not. We've taken swift, decisive action by installing a brand new chip fresh off the boat from Sydney. Remember, nothing could possibly go wrong when we train a system exponentially smarter than ourselves on all of humanity's data. Enjoy!
For Matrix Explained, please leave a like and subscribe. And thank you for visiting the Desert of the Real.